Peterside Dakuku, who is the Chairman House Committee on Petroleum Resources. That should be downstream. Morning, and thank you for joining us. Well, talking about this pipeline vandalism that seems to be going on now, is your committee concerned about this, and what do you intend to do?
Good morning. We are very, very concerned about the increasing case of pipeline vandalism, which has, of course, led to the death of several persons and loss of so much economic resources. The latest being the Arikbo case and the one in Oveje in Ogara area of Delta State. We're very concerned, and we're taking steps to tackle the situation.
What steps, might we ask, are you going to take to sort this problem out?
Well, I'm sure you know the dimension pipeline vandalism has taken. As I speak to you, between January last year and this year, the country has lost 500 persons in pipeline vandalism. Aside from that, we have lost in excess of 162 billion to crude oil, loss of crude oil in cause of pipeline vandalism and theft. We have also lost in the neighborhood of 4.6 billion crude oil, worth of AGO in cause of pipeline vandalism. We've lost in excess of 100 billion worth of PMS, 100 billion naira worth of PMS in cause of pipeline vandalism. And so it's a critical national issue. This morning, on the floor of the National Assembly, we will be giving this issue some attention. Aside from that, we are looking at the laws again. We think that the current laws we have is not sufficient to deal with the situation. There's a saying that you don't deal with new situations with old tools. Like I always say, a time was when the typewriter was good enough. Now you have computers, and of course you have very fast computers. And so we need to look at the laws. We need to engage stakeholders on urgently seeking for a solution to this problem. And of course, we can take it from there. But I can tell you that we're taking it very seriously because it is considered a national emergency.
Okay, well, yeah.
Some people will say that it's good that you're working with stakeholders, and by that they also mean, aside those who are in the sector, they're also looking at other members of the executive arm of government. Have you been able to do any parley with them in recent times?
Well, we have engaged at some level, but right now I want to step up the level of engagement. First, make it more broad so that every stakeholder, everybody is a stakeholder, every stakeholder can come, engage with us towards finding a common solution to the challenge. Now that the challenge has taken the dimension of a national issue. And so we're going to broaden the platform for engagement.
Yes, but I mean, are you sure that we actually require more laws? Because we had lots of people who have said time and again, the ones that have been caught vandalizing these pipelines have been charged, and eventually they're released, they come back to threaten them. Shouldn't we first of all sort that challenge out before we think about new laws?
I'm happy you're saying that. Three things is clear. Three things that seems to be clear. One is that nobody has been successfully prosecuted for pipeline vandalism. That's one. Two, we've not had any conviction so far. We've had some prosecution that is half-heartedly done or not diligently done, and therefore we've not had any case of prosecution. The other one is the fact that the security agencies seems to have a limitation on how to tackle this issue. We need to strengthen them too. Then the third one is the pipelines themselves. We cannot be laying pipelines the way we did in 1938 or in 1958 in 2012. And so there are a series of issues. Now, you talked about adequacy of laws. I agree with you that laws is not just all about it. It's not all about laws. I agree completely with you. It's not all about laws. The current laws we have not been maximally utilized. But again, we need to strengthen the laws. The punishments are not adequate. That's why it's been slightly difficult to prosecute people successfully. And so I agree that the laws may not be the only challenge, but the current laws need to be strengthened. You know that the principal law dealing with pipeline vandalism and oil theft was done during the military. It's actually a military decree. And we are looking at it right now with a view to reviewing it in the National Assembly to get a law that is in line with current reality so that we could deal with this issue.
It's interesting that you say that, the punishment is not sufficient, and on the other hand, nobody has been successfully prosecuted. So it's not a case of we secured a conviction and the person only did 1 month and was out again. It's a case of we've never been able to successfully prosecute the person. How do we address that particular challenge from the National Assembly?
I agree with you absolutely, and it's one of the issues we'll be dealing with when we meet with stakeholders. I agree absolutely with you that that's very correct. Nobody has been successfully prosecuted. Why is that so? Why do we have that problem? The current laws, as weak as they are, how come nobody has been prosecuted on the basis of the law? Again, the another implication is that there appears to be a lacuna in the law in cause of prosecution. We need to change the way the law is so that the burden of proof might shift. There are a lot of things we are looking at, and I don't think at this stage we should preempt what will be the outcome of stakeholders' engagement that we intend to have.
From what specifically are you thinking about? You talked about strengthening security agencies. Could you give us some specifics on how you want to do that?
Now, there are a lot of modern tools to monitor pipeline vandalism, a lot of modern tools. And again, very often, the areas where you have these pipelines is so hostile that the regular police can't even assess it. And when I mean regular police, they don't have the equipment to assess it. Again, when people are caught, very often, most of the time, they are dead, even before they're caught. In terms of pipeline vandalism, those who do it successfully are never really caught. How come police cannot track them using some modern equipment, some digital equipment? How come that police cannot assess the areas where these pipelines are? Very often in very difficult to access creeks. They don't have platforms, they don't have equipment to assess them.
Mr. Dakuku,
and so we think that
sorry to interrupt
we
you
need to
here,
hear
but
from the police and the
people
security agencies
will say
what their
that
challenges are,
how come
what
the
their difficulties
vandals
are.
can
Then we'll
access
find
the
a way of
pipelines
tackling
and
it.
the policemen
Now, in terms
cannot
of
access
those who
it to
do the
protect them?
prosecution,
How
we
come
also need to
also
hear
when the
from them
damage
what
is
their
done?
issues are.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Great. Now, some people will say that how come the policemen cannot get access to the pipelines, the vandals can? And how come when the pipelines need to be repaired, the NNPC somehow gets to the pipelines and can fix them, but to secure it is a problem for the Nigeria police? Why is that?
Now, Arekpo seems to be the recent Arekpo case seems to be a classical case. Now, very often, unfortunately but true, the vandals are by far more sophisticated than the security agencies, or the police in particular. The vandals are by far more sophisticated. Now, you notice what happened in Arekpo. They got in there, first they know the terrain. They know the terrain. They got in there, they assessed the place, and for God's sake, for whatever is what, they were able to take out products. Now, but when peace and police came, you saw the kind of canoe. I didn't say boat. Incidentally, I come from the riverine part of River State. You see the kind of canoe they use in assessing the place. Nobody can do much with that. There were no platforms. There were no flying boats. There are no, you don't have any, no serious equipment for them to assess that place. And so I don't think the police is armed or equipped as they should. That appears to be a very serious challenge that we can't neglect. The vandals are by far more sophisticated. The terrain is hostile. Nobody can take away that. And very extremely difficult.